Hey, what's up YouTube? Goratha here. So today I'm going to talk about my Gauntlet plans. I'm not going to tell you guys everything because it's a competitive event and I don't want to give everything away, but a lot of people have been asking me what my plans are. So I figured I'd give you guys a video talking about what I think like the best Ascendancy classes are going to be, what I think like the best builds will be for leveling, and kind of like my thoughts on the Gauntlet in general. And I'll go over my my farming build a little bit. This is the build I plan on farming for my super secret, not really secret build. So I'm gonna transition into later. It's Ephemeral Edge. I'm just gonna play Ephemeral Edge later. Anyways, so I'm gonna farm gear on one character, and I'm just gonna transition into like a CI massive big every max hit is insane, can't die character type of thing. But yeah, this is my plans for the league start. I think a lot of people are more interested in like what's gonna be good to get level 90 or like 95. Well, I gotta go over my build and talk about some of the other builds, and yep, here we go. So my current plans are to play Poison, Concoction, Arakaali. I think Arakaali is one of the best campaign ascendancies, just because it gets free Envy Aura at level 30. This gives about 150 flat chaos damage, which is pretty insane for almost every build in the game, pretty much. If you're leveling, this is really, really insane. I'm going to drop it later on my specific build. I'm playing Concoction of Poison Concoction. Yeah, just solve this later for this ability specifically. This will be really good endgame though for minion builds like SRS and like Bama. Bama is going to be pretty good for a lot of these ascendancies. Bama just has a lot of options with the Phrecia ascendancies. Oh yeah, the Gauntlet's going to have Phrecia ascendancies by the way, so if you guys didn't know that, this is what I'm talking about. But the general idea is I just get a bunch of damage from my spiders. They give you like attack speed and poison damage. It should be pretty strong. And you get some DR and minus res from the spider webs. So pretty simple. This is gonna be my farming build, like I said. Clusters are pretty good for poison concoction. Like follow through specifically is a lot of damage. It's less important on this specific ascendancy, but it's still probably worth going clusters eventually for big damages. This POB is pretty simple. I don't have anything crazy going on here. I do think Leper's Alms is a very nice shield to use if you're playing poison. It's pretty common. You get it from Riker, Research, Ancient Orbs, Gambling, all pretty easy to get. Just thinking about going Venomous Shroud. Some of the Venomous gear is pretty interesting with the Spider Ascendancy, and yeah, it's just kind of cool thematically, so maybe I'll go for some Spider gear. Depends on how long I want to stay farming this build. I believe I'm going max block with Versatile. It seems like it's going to be the tankiest version of the build. It's a little hard to set up initially because you're so far away from block nodes as Shadow. The early campaign will probably go through the middle, get like Revenge of the Hunted, Wasting, Replenishing Remedies, Cover Mastery, all that good stuff. The tree is very typical of a normal concoction build early on. I'm going to try to do some block stuff just because Gauntlet has a little harder mobs and it tends to get more damage anyways without too much defense on the tree. So that's like my current plan for my farming build. I do think Scavenger might actually be better for the specific ability. Having access to Cloak of Flames and Explosions on top of Fairy Vow for extra single target, or Death Rush for clear speed. Science is going to be a super strong ascendancy for farming. The campaign on Cyan will be very painful, but if you make it to map, Cyan will be very strong, and it has very nice endgame builds as well, with Ephemeral Edge. Yeah, you have Death Rush, you have Service Limb. This basically gives you a ton of extra ES from your shield if you're running a Champion Kite Shield, for example. Tons of ES from armor. There's a lot of interesting options with Scion. Scion's very versatile. Wouldn't be surprised to see a couple top builds playing it. Like Forbidden Rite Sacrifice could be good. Ephemeral Edge, Molten Strike. There's a lot of options, honestly. Scion's gonna be very strong. A couple key thoughts here on the race. I think a lot of the builds can go in Ephemeral Edge endgame, and I think there's like a lot of good options for that. But there is other options that you can play. For example, Bama Arakaali, Slams, Ancestral Commander. This will be very strong for leveling and throughout the... if you just want to get level 95, I think Ancestral Commander is very good. You want to kill Uber bosses, maybe not the best for killing Ubers, but it's really good at getting 95. Antiquarian can eventually go into some Ephemeral Edge build. So maybe you play Ancestral Commander, then respec Ephemeral Edge, something like that. Templar is a little weird. I think it's kind of weird because you have like a wasted loss point. I'm thinking Slams could be pretty strong early on, like specifically like Bleed Sunder could be really good with the max hit from Rislatas, max Coldras, Men Charges. That could be pretty solid. You could do some Alley Concoction build maybe. I do think Templar is a bit weak though compared to the other classes. Architect of Chaos would be good for mapping with like Vow Cold Snap, but overall this ascendancy is pretty weak. I think it's again like it's just a Thermal Edge build endgame probably. There might be some interesting zombie build though. That's just, like falling zombies or something. I don't know. I haven't thought of it too much. Witches, initially I thought Witch was gonna be super weak, but I think Bog Shaman has a lot of potential with things like Rapith and maybe Forbidden Rite Sacrifice could be really strong. One key thing to note is Pandemic can actually be used as CI if you have some life recovery, like flat life regen from like Vitality or like a piece of gear. So you could go Poison, Forbidden Rite. It really depends on how hard it is to get the Whispers Amulet though. And yeah, you kind of negate the downside of Chaos Resonate as well. You get AoE and Proc Speed. It's pretty good for Forbidden Rite. Max Res. This Sensi's pretty good for CI or life stacking. Might be okay. Might be hard to gear up though. Harvey's actually pretty interesting. You can get full uptime on Focus, Harbinger of Focus, which is big DR, immune to stun, ailments, and some other stuff like that. This ascendancy is a bit weak though, I think, overall, just because you don't really have that many options. Again, you can go like Infernal Edge or like Forbidden Rite or something with this build as well. With the yes recovery rate, it's okay. I think Archmage is also potentially pretty interesting with this build. You get some mana recovery rate. Every small node gets mana regen. I think Witch overall is a bit weaker. Not as weak as Templar, but a bit weaker overall. I think Shadow is the squishiest ascendancy. My plan's to go Arakaali, like I said, but this ascendancy is pretty squishy. So unless you know what you're doing, I probably would recommend staying away from it. Arakaali, Bama though, and SRS might be pretty strong for the campaign, and also endgame scaling. Just if you can get tanky enough, it'll do a lot of damage at least. Blind Prophet's very strong once you have gear as well for like Infernal Edge and stuff like that, probably. Ranger, I think Ranger is a Bama Wildspeaker build, probably. Ashabi will be, again, like Infernal Edge Ashabi with Over the Magi. Could be very strong. Whisper, I think, is a bit of a meme. You could probably do some Power Siphon thing with it. Or maybe some endgame. If you somehow find an Endagon, could be pretty strong. I would probably stay away from Whisper, though. I think this requires too much gearing. Unless you really know what you're doing. Could be something there, but yeah. And Champion. Or Duelist. Yeah, Duelist is very interesting. I think Paladin is potentially the race winner. Paladin support may actually be the best build. This Gauntlet. It's hard to say, though. I haven't really messed around with Paladin support that much this league. I know it's very strong. You get Absolution, you get the Hand of Phrecia, you have insane Aura Effect. You have 100% Aura Effect, basically, because you have the 5% from the small nodes, just in those two things alone, which is kind of crazy. And then you share Utility Flask with your link target, and you just go Mercenary support. Has very solid leveling as well with Grace Aura or Determination Aura from Normal Lab, and you just go LA Concoction. Yeah, I think Paladin's very strong. This is the one class I would say you probably don't go Infernal Edge, but you could also go Infernal Edge with Paladin. It's kind of versatile. Yeah, this is my thoughts on the ascendancies and what my current plans are personally. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thought I'd give you guys my thoughts, and if you guys want to follow along, you can always follow along when I'm playing. Yeah, this is going to be a normal concoction build. I'll keep you guys updated potentially, depending on how I'm doing, but I'm mostly going to focus on racing in the Gauntlet, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, if you want to follow along, I'm always streaming on Twitch whenever... Hopefully my internet doesn't destroy me this time around. And hopefully we have some good RNG. The last couple of gauntlets have been pretty unlucky for me, just in terms of... The last gauntlet, I had a hurricane come by and took my power out for 5 days during the gauntlet, so that wasn't good. So, I mean, it can't be worse than last gauntlet, right? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thought I'd keep you guys updated, and I will see you guys next time.